Wednesday's rioting caught the Capitol Police and the National Guard off guard. The same cannot be said of the news media. The press was out in force, prepared for the worst, hoping for the best. The media ready for anything. While legislators inside the Capitol went about the usually mundane business of certifying the election, outside, the president was fomenting a riot.
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
And with that, hundreds of angry Trump supporters marched to the Capitol building. Newsrooms were poised and ready and clear about what to call protesters who turned violent.
Rioters outside broke the glass and tried to get into the House chamber.
CNN stuck to calling them rioters, while the Washington Post called them mobs. CBS was fine with a range of descriptions from protesters to pro-Trump protesters. On Fox, though, descriptions were more benign.
Supporters of President Trump.
But along the way, those same mobs were tracking down the media. A handwritten sign on a door inside the Capitol read, "Murder the media." NBC was rolling when people started smashing TV equipment. A Bloomberg reporter caught mobs taunting and threatening the press. Regardless, the gloves were off, with virtually everyone in the press pointing the finger at the president.
President Trump could stop this with one tweet, but instead he's on Twitter attacking Vice President Pence for refusing to go along with his attempt at a bloodless coup.
Which wasn't all that bloodless. You know, Mike, when I look at how much media presence there was there that day, it's hard to imagine that the Capitol Police weren't more prepared. Our newsroom was not there, but we had a discussion that morning that actually Adam Reilly brought up something and said, I don't know what's going to happen today, something's going to happen, but it seems as though they thought nothing was going to happen. You know, and as for the terminology, it actually almost was amusing. Obviously, CNN dictated to their reporters and anchors to call them rioters, because at one point, one of them said, the protesters, I mean the rioters, so they were no uncertain terms told what to say.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting to see those editorial directives on the fly come out over social media. Marty Barron telling his reporters what to say, and other places as well. Usually those things are internal. But one of the saddest parts of this whole day, aside from the direct assault on our democracy, for me, was how it just completely laid bare more than ever before over the last 4 years, the distrust of the media, the hatred of the media, the erosion of trust in the media. You cannot look at those pictures and that video of them destroying that AP equipment and in their ignorance saying F CNN when they were destroying AP equipment, by the way, without, thinking back over the past 4 years, the enemy of the people, treasonous, and also fake news. There was nothing fake about what I saw out there. As far as how the media did, it's tremendously difficult to do something like that in real time. All you can do is report what you see, apply your experience, and do the best you can in helping viewers understand it. The only thing I can compare it to is 9/11. It's extremely difficult to do it in that situation. I was on the air for 2 minutes after the first plane hit and 8 hours afterward. You make the calls as you go along. I think TV did an excellent job overall in covering this. And one other point, I think, as big a role as social media played in this, once again, in very big moments in our history, TV was what brought us together.
Absolutely.
I would have to agree that the coverage was really extraordinary. When I first got the news that something was going on and I was listening at the same time to radio and TV, it was pretty amazing what people were able to ascertain on the fly. Of course, as you pointed out, so many people had already been in position to cover what could have been mundane, but they assumed something might happen down at the Trump rally where he spoke earlier. I have to say that the LA Times reporter, first person being trapped inside, these reports are really quite amazing. The journalists did a fabulous job of telling the story as it was. As for the language, for me, it was refreshing to see these people be called thugs and rioters, because that's been applied elsewhere when people have been, peacefully protesting that don't look like them. And, of course, I will never forget the story of the motorcycle gang out west that killed 9 people, and the cops allowed them to sit on the curb and offered them something to eat and did not refer to them as a gang. So, just saying.
What an incredibly scary situation the press found itself in. Callie mentioned one first-hand report. There was another first-person report from a New York Times photographer who was absolutely convinced she was going to be killed. She seemed to be cut off from any security, anybody who might help her. They had her down on the floor. They were smashing her cameras. It's amazing that she got away with this. One other thing about terminology that I thought was interesting, since we're talking about this, I spent some time the night before watching Newsmax just to get a feel for it and to see what they were saying about what was going to be happening the next day. And here's another word for you: patriots. Those were not patriots that we saw out there. And I think that we knew even the night before that these were not going to be patriots.
I got to talk a little more about terminology, because I think this is a crucial topic for us to be kicking around. CBS News said that they didn't want their staff referring to this as an attempted coup. CBS News and National Public Radio said not to use the phrase domestic terrorists or domestic terrorism. I can't remember which one they focused on to describe what was happening. These people were, I am deeply troubled by that excessive restraint. The Reuters Washington photo editor tweeted today that he heard multiple people talking about how they had to find Vice President Pence and kill him. The Washington Post just published video of the moments before Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed. If you watch that video, it is clear that this is an intensely violent crowd in close proximity to members of Congress that could have killed a congressperson themselves, or perhaps Vice President Pence or staffers, if they had managed to get where they wanted to go. For too long, over the last 5 years, we have refrained from calling things what they are because we're afraid of giving offense. It's a terrible habit, and we got to kick it immediately.
Yeah, good point, Adam. All right.